Thank you, Concordia.
At the outset of this, I'm not against wind turbines. However, I am against wind turbines that do not allow people have a night's sleep. I've been trying to think, what way could I get through to ye to tell ye how important that you listen to this. I see Minister McEntee's alongside you there too, and yourself. How many parents are here? How many grandparents are here? How many brothers and sisters that have young children? Can you imagine a young child coming home from the maternity? And for the first 8 or 12 weeks, you're trying to get them into a sleep pattern. And you're hanging for sleep, and they're trying to sleep. Well, this is what those people up here are putting up since 2006. There is no end to them not getting a night's sleep. Why? Because profit, energy, is put before people's lives. And I'll tell you why. A study done in Ireland, if the amount of wind farms that had to be put into Ireland to make it viable, they have to stay 1:4. That's at 100 metres high, 400 metres away. You go to any other European country, it's 1:10. Because Ireland has a smaller land base, they have it as 1:4 to make it viable. You look at all the wind farms at the moment, that all their profitability is now coming down and they're showing losses. Why? Because you're keeping it at 1:4. They'd like it to have it as 1:2. This is what's wrong. Offshore is a better option because it's away from the people that live there. So every time you see a wind turbine going round, and every time you see a person, like all these people from up in 20 counties here today, you remember when you brought your baby home and you were hoping the day that they would sleep one night to let you get a night's sleep. That's what you're putting these people through with regulation that's outdated since 2006. Even the Irish court has ruled that wind turbine noise is a nuisance and the wind farm's neighbours are deprived of sleep. The High Court has confirmed that the government got it wrong. The noise guidance and the planning conditions in place have not protected a neighbour's sleep. That is what's wrong here. And you said it's not an urban thing, it's not a rural thing. Well, you don't have wind farms inside an urban. You have them in a rural area. What we're asking people is get the distance right. Go 1:10. Let these people get a night's sleep. Let them have a future. Can you imagine your child going to school not getting a night's sleep? Can you imagine if somebody is driving a truck, a bus, anything, and they're not getting a night's sleep? You're now also putting other people at danger. But they have to go to work to feed their children and to protect their families. By this regulation, if it doesn't change to at least 1:10, you're not protecting the families that are here today.
And if I don't get one tonight, I'll know you have drinks to me. But look, thanks very much for raising this important issue, Deputy. And look, you don't need to tell me or anyone in this government about listening to people, because that language suggests that you listen and the rest of us don't. It's unfair. It's unfair to people who listen to communities all of the time. I'm listening to these communities here today. I'm also being honest with them, as I'm sure you are too. Renewable energy is needed. I don't believe there's anyone in the gallery suggesting that there isn't. It's needed. And what I said wasn't about wind turbines. I said the climate emergency doesn't divide between rural and urban. And I do sometimes regrettably think in this House, not necessarily by you today, but there is a real effort to suggest that it does. That those people up in Dublin with their climate emergency, the climate emergency is very real. I tell you, I was in a rural county Roscommon at Lough Funchna. You can say, oh, what's happening there in terms of the very serious and difficult situation people are facing. That's the point I'm making. When it comes to climate, we need to try and bring communities with us, and we need to try and actually help, because we want to protect those families. That baby that's struggling to sleep at night, we want them to have a community and a planet to inherit. That's why we're all here. That's why we all come to work every day. So what we are doing is we are listening, and we are going to revise the 2006 wind guidelines for once and for all. I've outlined the process that we're undertaking to do that. I'm pleased that the process finally is advancing well. And in fact, in the Climate Action Plan 2024 that literally only a couple of hours ago we approved at Cabinet, there is a specific action. There's an annex of actions for the people in the gallery that says what we're going to do this year. And there's a specific action that says we're going to finalise the publication of the revised wind guidelines in what they call Q4, the last quarter of this year. So this year we'll see new wind guidelines published, and there will be a further opportunity for your constituents and for the 20 counties that are represented by people here today to have their say in relation to those guidelines through a further public consultation and input. So we will publish draft guidelines, we'll give people an opportunity to have their say, Department of Housing will lead in it. I'm happy, as our colleagues, to have engagement with SEPA and others who have an interest in this, and let's try and get this right for once and for all this year.
Thank you, Taoiseach. Deputy O'Donoghue.
Thank you, Taoiseach. And again, I'm not a carbon denier. I know we need energy, but I also know that I need the people to enjoy this country and enjoy the future, and nobody should be left behind. Can I inform you, Taoiseach, that the NSW Australia issued an energy noise guidance at 35 decibels, LA 90, for the protection of health, while the Irish government continues to allow 45 decibels, LA 90, double the loudness. So Australia are getting it right because they want to protect people like these. You said you want to protect the children. It's not only protect the children here, and the babies. It's protect the mothers and fathers, the grandfathers, grandmothers, brothers and sisters. It's to protect them from what is happening. You also might listen to trust the science. Since 2006, there has been data given by scientific people to show that too close to wind turbines causes health problems. That's scientific. That is data. It has been built up for almost 18 years now, and you still haven't changed the guidance and regulation on these people. They wouldn't be here today if you did. So now we're asking you to make sure that at a minimum that the decibels are reduced to 35 decibels, and also you go 1:10 away from any person that wants to live in an area where there's a wind turbine. Thank you, Taoiseach.
Last year in Ireland, every time 10 people used electricity, almost 4 out of 10 times that electricity was generated from wind, and generally onshore wind. So, I mean, this is playing a very major part in all of our constituents' lives and all of our citizens' lives, when they go to boil the kettle, when they go to turn on the light, when they open the fridge, when they turn on the television. So Ireland is very dependent on this, and let's be honest about that as well. So we don't want the lights to go out. We need to have an energy supply. And almost 40% of our electricity generated last year came from these sources of energy. What we now need to do is get the guidelines right. I accept this is going on a long time. I also accept this is going on too long a time. And that's why I want there to be a finality brought to this, so there is a certainty in relation to this year, in relation to what the guidelines are. I want communities, citizens and people to have an opportunity to have a say into those draft guidelines, and then I want us to publish those guidelines this year. We are listening, we are engaging, and of course we'll follow the science.